our heart goes out to the families. This is I can't imagine how painful today has been for these families, how painful these hours have been for these families. We promised them when we met with them that we were putting every possible asset and tool at our disposal to help find their family members. And so this evening we want to let them know that even though we've transitioned from a search and rescue to now a recovery mission, we will use every asset to make sure they find a sense of closure. And that's a commitment that we will keep for these families.
Governor, it sounds like there's been a lot of offers of assistance, not just from neighboring states, but other nations have offered. How will you deploy those resources if they're necessary to be used?
Yeah, it has been it's been truly awe-inspiring, the amount of outreach that we've received from other states, from other nations, from the private sector, from philanthropy. We are watching just people's hearts on full display, and it's very touching. And to everyone who has reached out, even if we haven't had a chance to reach back out yet, because it's been a pretty overwhelming day, we just want to let them know how much we appreciate it. And the thing that we know is that for all the people who are offering support, this is going to be a long journey. That the people for people who are offering support, we know that tonight is challenging and difficult. We know that tomorrow is going to be challenging and difficult. That next week is going to be challenging and difficult. The next months are going to be challenging and difficult. So the thing that I would say to everybody who wants to find ways to support, stick with us, because we know that this is going to be a long journey. That Maryland, we're gonna get it right, and we're gonna win, and we're committed to it, and we're committed to doing it in partnership with everybody who's reached out to offer support.
Governor, this is the second time in a year that we've lost this many of these, immigrant highway workers. What's your reaction to that?
It's part of the reason that I'm so thankful for the Lieutenant Governor and the work that she's done around work zone safety. When we saw this massive need for the state to be able to move aggressively on this issue, to say that there's certain occupations where we understand that there's dangers associated to it, our law enforcement officers, etc. For someone filling potholes, you don't think that's one of those professions. And so part of the reason that I'm so grateful for the leadership of our Lieutenant Governor and even the legislative package that she has authored and pulled together in this legislative session is it's something that we have to take seriously. And it's something that we have to have a greater sense of just a more aggressive approach to it, to making sure that people who are in work zones feel a sense and a measurement of safety, but also that people who are outside are respecting those who are working in those zones as well. And I don't know if there's anything you want to add as well to that.
Yeah, sure. So as the governor mentioned, one of our value statements is to leave no one behind. And that means every worker in the state of Maryland. And many of them are ones that put themselves in harm's way every single day as part of their job, including the folks that we just lost recently on this incident, as well as an incident that happened over a year ago on 695. So we're going to do everything we can to strengthen our laws, increase enforcement, make sure we get the education out there to let drivers know to be careful as they drive, not to speed. And in this case, we're going to have to make sure our maritime safety is also part of that. Thank you.
At the Baltimore Sun, we spoke to the construction company Bronner Builders,
Yep.
and they told us of 7 employees, 6 that were missing and 1 that were recovered. So there's a discrepancy there between what the company said and what the transportation authority said with 8 individuals. So can you offer any insight there? Was there a third-party inspector, maybe a state inspector on there? Yeah, any insight into that difference?
Yeah, no, the number that we have and the number we're working with is it's the 8 people total, okay. And that includes the 2 people who were one who's in shock trauma and the other one who's recovering without injuries.
Okay, but no insight into whether they were all from one company or one was a state inspector, perhaps. Or
no, I think that's information that we're still sorting through.
Okay, thank you,
Governor. What legislative or executive tools might you have at your disposal to accelerate the recovery and rebuilding process?
Well, I think these are conversations that we're going to have with the General Assembly. Same thing with conversations that we're having with the Biden administration right now. We know that this is going to have to be all hands on deck when we're talking about the long-term recovery and for what it's going to mean, not just for elements of the Key Bridge, but all the other elements that this has impacted. We're talking about a bridge and we're talking about a harbor that's responsible for over $191 million of economic activity daily. Something that's responsible for 8,000 employees. And so we know that there's not one angle, one facet, or one part of our society that we're going to be leaning on to be able to address this. So it will include conversations with the General Assembly, but it also will include conversations with our federal partners as well.
Governor, have you been able to reach out to the families and talk to them following this incident?
Yes, we have. We've had a chance to spend time earlier today with the families, and they're remarkable. They're prayerful people, and we had the chance to pray with them. We had a chance to pray for them, and we want to let them know that that we are going to keep on praying for them, and not just us, but they have got 6.3 million people, and they've got a whole country and a whole world who's praying for their peace.
Anything that they shared about their family members that you think it's important for people to know? Some people saying obviously they're hardworking people. Anything else that they shared with you that you think it's important?
I think they wanted people to remember that they were family members. They were fathers and brothers. They were cousins. They were sons. And to get a chance to spend time with the family members who were remembering them, not exclusively as hard workers who are working on something that's very important to our long-term success and our long-term pride as a city and a state, but these are grieving family members who are grieving their family members.
When will you be back out, Governor?
We'll be back out tomorrow. Yes, and we are going to make sure that again, this is going to be a long-term journey for our state to recover. But if there's something that I know that has been on full display today, we are Maryland tough, and we are Baltimore strong, and we are going to make sure that as a state we are going to get through this together. We are committed to getting through it together, and we will be in consistent and constant communication with the people of the state to make sure that everybody understands our collective role in doing right.
Governor, we heard from some experts earlier today talking about the supports of the bridge, and maybe there should have been something. Some bridges have something to deflect in a hit like this. Yeah. Is that something you want to look at statewide as the result of this? Talk a bit about your thinking of looking at other bridges and maybe trying to find ways to protect them from situations like this.
Yes, it's something we're going to explore. We're going to do a complete and full analysis of not just what happened in this scenario, in this situation, and this is a relatively, this is an unprecedented situation, right, where you have a ship of a cargo mass that large moving at that speed. It's difficult to understand what infrastructure could have taken that level of hit and that level of direct hit. So we do understand the uniqueness of this situation, and part of the heartache of this is the uniqueness of this situation. But we also do think that this warrants a time for us to really think about our infrastructure as a whole. Our maritime infrastructure, rail infrastructure, all infrastructure, and making sure that Maryland can lead the way in having real core infrastructure assets that are both safe and effective.
And I know we had a couple folks just join, so if y'all want to ask one more question.
I'm so sorry. I'm so late to this. We were on the complete wrong side. Can you kind of give me a reaction to the now update news of the 6 people who they're like kind of ending recovery tonight, or switching to recovery now to the search and rescue?
It's a really heartbreaking conclusion to a challenging day. We put every single asset possible, air, land, and sea assets, to bring to add to the members' survivability for these families. Even though we're moving on now to a recovery mission, we're still fully committed to making sure that we are going to use every single asset to now bring a sense of closure to the families.
Hey, thank you all, everybody.
The community that one of these workers was recovered and identified. Is this something you can confirm?
It's only taken.
that one of the workers was found and identified? Is this something you can confirm?
Yes, there's one of the workers is in shock trauma and is receiving treatment for their injuries.
And
Hey, guys.
Then unaccounted, the ones that were unaccounted for, can you confirm that one of them was?
No, all the 6 workers that are they're unaccounted for, I have no further update on their status.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody.